This episode of the Occultae Veritatis podcast is brought to you by Studio Headphones. For 15% off your first purchase of Studio Headphones, use the code OVPOD at checkout.
Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
The atoms in your left hand probably came from a different star than your right hand.
It is our basic human right to be fucked up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Put chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Occultae Veritatis.
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Occultae Veritatis. I am Ood Gallifrey.
Sage Murray.
I'm Leon Filger, and in studio with us today,
Emmy.
And cheers, welcome aboard.
And Emmy brought gifts and booze, so that is the new standard for guests.
Yeah, gifts and booze.
I was told to bring both, so...
Yeah.
Well, you're a real good listener.
Yeah, if you want to come on the podcast and you want to get to the front of the list, I mean, really bring us alcohol and creepy things, and we will get you on right away.
Yeah, we like
right
that stuff.
away.
Yeah. I believe it is a Sage episode this time.
It is.
We got to check what's your poison.
So, what's your poison?
Today on What's Your Poison, we're doing the shitty-ass teacher's scotch, blended scotch, with some root beer out of Ood's fridge.
Yeah, we found it.
And I don't think Ood's having some of it. I don't think he's having the root beer.
No, we drank all the root beer.
I like doing it straight. I think it's...
Bleh.
Is it scotch?
It's blended scotch.
Blended Highland cream blended scotch.
Are you sure you don't want to try this, Emmy?
I'll give it a shot. It sounds like death.
It's not good.
It's kind of like, have you ever had your side window open when you're washing your windows and the windshield washer fluid gets in your eyes?
No, I'm not that dumb.
That's roughly this.
I mean, it's better than rubbing alcohol, but only just.
Yeah. It's in the same family, I'd say. I have mine with root beer, and like it's
ruined the root beer because it's A&W root beer, which is the finest thereof.
But it's diet.
The diet is almost as good as the original.
No, it's not.
I think so. That's actually buys that because.
No,
sorry, Daniel.
That's why Daniel buys it.
Daniel buys it.
I don't know. It's like a scotch. You know, you take a couple drops.
No, it's not though. It's not like a scotch though.
But I don't know anything about alcohol.
It all tastes the same to me.
It's not single. Whatever. It's shitty. It's teachers. I've never heard of it before. This was a leftover when Dan West came to visit us a couple of episodes ago.
Oh,
he left this with us because he wouldn't fucking drink it. His wife wouldn't drink it, so he gave it back to me and said, just bring it and have it in the studio. I'm not taking this home with me.
It's going to live at your house now.
Oh, goody. So if there's sloppy editing, it'll be because of teachers, because I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, I don't. It's
go.
It's not bad with the root beer either. Do you want to try it with the root beer?
Yeah, I'll try it with the root beer.
I'm giving it a solid. I don't even feel like rating it though because I'll rate things that I would consider like putting in my mouth again.
Okay.
And this I wouldn't. So I'm just gonna give it a.
Okay.
That's fair. I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
It's definitely not good with the root beer, but by itself,
it's definitely not good.
I love it by itself. It's good.
Oh, okay.
And
you and Mr. Sage Murray should hang out because he loves this stuff.
Yeah, room temperature blended scotch. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because
classless.
Seriously?
Classless.
I like this a bunch. It's better than that beef jerky beer.
Beef jerky beer.
It's better than that cheap ass champagne. This is good.
No.
No.
That champagne was incredible.
It was delicious.
Oh yes, because the quality of the champagne is determined on the quality of the people that surround you.
Yeah, the people with which you enjoy, according to the Queen's Vintner.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think of it?
It's fucking awful. I'm sorry. You're wrong.
Okay. I'm standing on a hill alone.
You are on a hill alone. I drink it again. Like it gets the job done,
no.
but only if there's
everything
nothing
gets
else.
the job done for you.
I know it's true.
Would you drink it while drunk?
I mean, probably, but I would regret it.
Yeah, you'd regret it later.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going to regret this. I work at 5 a.m. tomorrow, and I'm going to consume definitely more of this. So.
Ooh, good.
This quiet Portland electrician, a husband, a father, and a murderous sexual fetishist.
Young women are being killed in the Willamette Valley, and they have enough bodies to make the public very concerned.
We knew that we had a vicious killer out there somewhere.
Where are these young women going?
At that point, we didn't know much more.
One by one, young Oregon women disappeared.
He took my hair and rounded around like a fulcrum and started beating my head on the basement floor.
But the act of killing was only foreplay.
He enjoyed killing these girls and mutilating the bodies. This was thrill to him. Absolutely enjoyed it.
It was a slow Saturday night, and they ate out.
Jerome Henry Brudos, the lust killer.
That's good.
All right. So today on Occultae Veritatis, I am going to talk about Jerry Brudos.
Ooh.
Yes. So I was on a bit of a Mindhunters thing. So Jerry Brudos. He's played by Happy Anderson on the Netflix show, and it's a super awesome show, and you should all watch it. The first episode was shitty and was super dumb, but they do get better.
I like the first episode.
Oh, I hated it. I couldn't. Oh, so slow and so stupid. But the other episodes are good. So Brudos was born in Webster, South Dakota, and was the youngest of two sons.
South Dakota.
His mother had wanted a girl and was very displeased that she had another son instead. She would constantly belittle him and treat him with disdain as well as abuse him. As a child, Brudos and his family would move into different homes in the Pacific Northwest before finally settling in Salem, Oregon. Jerry Brudos had a fetish for women's shoes from the age of 5 after playing with spike-heeled shoes at a local junkyard.
Don't we all?
Well, I like them.
I wonder how many fetishes were started in a junkyard.
I don't know. We should do an episode on it. Junkyard.
Old windshield wipers really fucking do it for me.
Just the way they go back and forth.
Yeah.
Dirty couches.
It's the broken, creepy dolls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He reportedly attempted to steal the shoes of his first grade teacher. And so she had a very different reaction. His mom found this shoe and just like flipped the shit out about it. But then his he stole his teacher's shoes out of her bag or whatever because he wanted to see them. And she was much more kind about it. So he kind of learned that mixed association early, and I think it super confused him.
Interesting.
Brudos also had a fetish for women's underwear and claimed that he would steal underwear from the female neighbors as a child.
I've never done it. Not once in my entire life have I put on women's underwear.
I have.
I've seen a picture of you in women's underwear.
Oh, no. Where the hell did you see that? Oh, yeah, you were part of those groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've smelled them from time to time, but I've never thought I should put them on.
I thought you were talking about the underwear I was wearing.
No.
Like
I ate that.
I was wondering where they went.
Blended up into I pureed that shit and drank it down for breakfast.
Okay, that's gross. Moving on. Jerry Brudos spent his teen years in and out of psychotherapy and psychiatric hospitals. He began to stalk local women as a teenager, knocking down or choking them unconscious, and then fleeing with their shoes.
Jeez, it seems like there's easier ways
just
to get
the shoes.
Yeah, just the shoes. He loved those shoes.
Could he not just ask for them politely?
You would think that would be easier.
Like, give me your shoes or I will knock you down and strangle you. Well,
Yeah.
fuck, okay, just take my shoes. Do you want my wallet?
Maybe
No.
he tried that and then he had to escalate because
I can't
some
jack
of them
off
said
with
no.
your wallet.
Well, maybe he liked the violence and the shoes that he associated with the violence.
Oh, interesting.
Is that a supposition? Or...
That's a supposition.
Oh, okay.
At age 17, he abducted and beat a young woman, threatening to stab her if she did not follow his sexual demands.
To relinquish her shoes.
Yeah. Well, obviously he was arrested shortly after. He was taken to a psychiatric ward of Oregon State Hospital for 9 months. There it was found his sexual fantasies revolved around his hatred and revenge against his mother and women in general. He underwent a psychiatric evaluation and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Despite being institutionalized, he still graduated from high school with his class in 1957.
What were his hallucinations and schizophrenia?
I didn't find
Shoes?
that stuff. Yeah, well, he was just super confused. And after...
As they generally are.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick schizophrenia story?
Yeah.
I'm going to anyway.
Do it.
Some time ago, when I was hospitalized, there was a schizophrenic girl next door. I mean, as there were a few next door, but there was one in particular who wasn't particularly violent. Her delusions weren't harmful, but she was convinced in these delusions that she wasn't in a psych ward, but rather was at an open-air market.
Oh!
And she was under the impression that each patient's room was a different like shop or stall at the market. And so she'd, walk into a patient's room and ask what was for sale and go looking through their shit and like offer to buy their stuff for like invisible money she had. And because I was insane, that's why I was there, started collecting used tea bags and lining them up on my windowsill because I was also insane.
Yeah.
And I thought that if I put them there, they would compost overnight and then I could grow flowers on the windowsill because I was insane. That's why I was there. And she was offering me like absurd sums of invisible money for my composting tea bags. And I ended up selling some of them to her. And I found out later on that the money was not invisible. It just was non-existent. So I could do nothing with it. I couldn't buy invisible tea bags. But sometime later, and this was my favorite story, maybe from my entire life, she had hopped, skipped, and jumped down the hallway and asked one of the nurses for a pair of scissors, who dutifully gave her the scissors because it's a fucking psych ward, and that's what you do when someone asks you for scissors.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Lord.
And the girl took the scissors into the bathroom, and my anxiety was severe at the time, so I didn't want to leave my room, but I peeked out around the corner and watched as this schizophrenic girl, skipped into the bathroom with these scissors. And sometime later, she emerged, having removed both her eyebrows.
Oh, no.
And she didn't cut her wrists because I was like fully expecting to see blood coming under the door. Just took off the eyebrows.
She just snipped off her eyebrows.
And like they must have been sharp scissors because she had them shaved right down. Like it was a proper job she did with them. But she had like tan lines where the eyebrows used to be. It was just two like white strips. And then the nurse who had given her the scissors took the scissors back from her thereafter and said, looking at me, is that a thing now? Is that in style, taking off the eyebrows? No, she's fucking crazy. You gave her scissors. This is a psych ward.
What a ding-dong.
Yeah, she's totally up on the latest fashions, and this is in right now.
Yeah, that's the end of my schizophrenia story.
Oh my God. Okay. So shortly after graduation, he became an electronics technician.
Don't we all?
Yes. Well, I didn't. In 1961, he married a 17-year-old girl with whom he would later father 2 children.
How old was he at the time?
57. So it was like, let's say 18 when he graduated.
That's kind of dicey. Oh, he's 18 at the time. Is she 17?
No. He was 18 in 1957.
I thought he was 57. That's 19, a bit much.
Okay. He graduated high school in 1957.
Mm-hmm. So he wasn't 57 at the time.
No, he was not 57 at the time.
All right, then.
And then in 1961...
That's good cider, thank you.
He married a 17-year-old girl with whom he would father 2 children, and they settled in Salem, Oregon.
Oregon.
Trail.
Oregon. He asked his new bride...
We have listeners in Oregon.
We do. Sorry, Oregonians. Apparently I can't say your state name, but I still love you. He asked his new bride to do housework naked, except for a pair of high heels while he took pictures. It was at this time, however, that he began complaining of migraine headaches and, in quotations, blackouts.
Ooh.
Relieving his symptoms with night prowling raids to steal shoes and lace undergarments.
That's how he treated his symptoms?
I mean, it's how I treat my migraines.
Yeah, just go out and steal Gitch. And
if it works, it works.
I thought I was the only one.
To each their own. He kept the shoes, underwear, and, for a time, the bodies of his victims in a garage that he would not allow his wife to enter without first announcing his arrival on an intercom that Brudos had set up. So
if you got a bunch of fucking bodies in the garage, you're not going to let your wife just wander on in there.
No.
That's the most reasonable part of the story so far.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he installed an intercom. That's pretty sophisticated.
He was an electronics technician.
Fair enough.
That was like his job.
If he was unable to install a simple intercom, I would question his qualifications as an electronics technician.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So between 1968 and 1969, Brudos bludgeoned and strangled 4 young women and attempted to attack 2 others. So the first was Linda Slauson. She was 19, a door-to-door encyclopedia saleswoman who knocked on Brudos' door in January 1968. Brudos lured her to the garage while his wife and children were in the house, knocked her out with a wooden plank, and strangled her. He dressed her in different female undergarments and shoes that he had stolen, arranged her body in provocative poses, and used a hacksaw to cut off her left foot, which he kept in the freezer and used to model his collection of high-heeled shoes. He ended up dumping the body in the Willamette River.
Do you think he, snuck her in, around the back, or do you think he did this in full view knowing he had...
No, he did it in full view. He just, was like, oh, hey, yeah. I think she was looking for a different house. And he's like, yeah, come over here. And he just lured her right into the garage and then killed her.
So what do you think his wife thought?
She didn't know.
Oh.
They were in the house. Yeah, and then she was so, I don't know, socialized to not go in there.
I like to think that Mrs. Leon Filger would know that if I installed an intercom that I was murdering people in our garage. I think we have a close enough relationship she'd suspect something.
Well, I'd hope that Mr. Sage Murray would also suspect something.
Oh, he totally would. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Daniel, if I ever set up a secret garage with a intercom, I'm murdering people in there.
Yep.
You wouldn't murder anyone. I think of the three of us, you're the least likely to murder.
I think so too. You're the nicest out of all three of us.
Yeah, I don't have the... I would pinch somebody really ferociously.
A ferocious pinching.
I would break the fucking skin with that pinch, but I wouldn't murder them.
It would leave a bruise and maybe it bleed for a moment.
I'd probably apologize afterwards, though.
You would apologize with your weird little accent that you haven't sorted out yet.
We still haven't sorted out his accent.
Pinching hurts a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially on this part of your arm.
I was scared for a second.
I know. I didn't. All right. Getting back to murderous characters.
We're never going to get fucking through this. We never get through any of these.
That's true.
Hey, the episodes have turned out to be logical and thoughtful.
We've covered 8 minutes of content in a 55-minute video, is how these always...
We mean well. All right. So the next victim was a woman named Karen Sprinkler. Again, she was 19. And she was abducted at gunpoint from a car park outside a department store in May of 1968. Brudos was dressed in women's clothing during this attack.
You know who Donald Trump's favorite Karen is?
Oh, no.
Karen Sprinkler.
Let's not make fun of dead people.
Oh, she's the dead one.
She's the dead one. Karen
Never
Sprinkler
mind.
is the woman that died.
I thought she was the murderer.
No, Jerry Brudos is the murderer. Apparently that we just kicked your ass.
This is a really good cider.
So he brought her to his garage, made her try on his collection of undergarments and pose while he photographed her, raped her, and strangled her by hanging her by the neck from a pulley.
Jesus.
Then he had sex with the body on several occasions and cut off her breasts to make plastic molds, which he used as paperweights in his garage. He tied the body to a 6-cylinder car engine with nylon cord and threw it again in the Willamette River. So he made boob molds. A lot of dead lady boobs. Gross.
I have boob balls.
Molds. He used them as paperweights. They were
Oh no, I've got bowls shaped like tits.
Well, that's cool, but
I don't think they killed someone to make the mold.
No, you wouldn't have killed someone to make the mold. Okay, the next victim was Jan Susan Whitney, who was 23, a motorist whose car broke down on Interstate 5 between Salem and Albany, Oregon on November 26, 1968. Brudos offered to drive her home with the excuse of letting her call a pickup truck there. While still in the car, he strangled her with a leather strap and raped her post-mortem. He then kept the body hanging from the pulley.
That's good cider.
Yeah, that's good cider. He then kept the body hanging from the pulley in his garage for several days, during which he dressed, photographed, and had sex with it.
Jesus.
This time, Brudos cut off one of her breasts and made a resin mold, which he used as a paperweight. My apologies. He used this breast as a paperweight.
What
not
did he use the previous ones as?
He just made plastic molds.
He probably made them into balls.
Probably. Maybe you have one of Brudos'
Maybe I
balls.
have one of his tit balls.
Oh my god. Afterwards, he tied the body to a piece of railroad iron and threw it in the Willamette, along with her Slosson's foot. Remember Linda Slosson from the beginning? Which had rot. So he got rid of that after it was
rotted.
Rotted.
Yeah, who wants a rotten foot?
Sorry, I'm drunk.
Let's conjugate here.
Sorry. All right, the next person was an attempted abduction. Was Sharon Wood. She was 24, and he attempted to abduct her at gunpoint from the basement floor of a car park in Portland on April 21st, 1969.
And Jerry's a big guy, big and strong,
He's
right?
huge. He's 7 feet tall and 300 pounds. He's a monster.
I wouldn't get with him to call a tow truck.
No, I mean, not like he's a scary dude.
Yeah.
The next person was Gloria Jean Smith, who was 15, and he attempted to abduct her on April 22nd, 1969. And finally, we have Linda Sally, who was 22, abducted from a shopping mall car park on April 23rd, 1969.
Someone wrote this was British, though, because we don't actually say car park in North America, do we?
Well, I say it sometimes.
It's a parking lot.
Whatever. It could be like a one of those up and down ones.
It's a parkade.
You're a parkade.
I am.
Parking lot.
Good cider.
Parking lot. Brudos brought her to his garage where he raped and strangled her and played with her corpse. He decided not to cut off her breasts because they were too pink, and instead drove an electrical current through her body in an attempt to make it jump, which failed. Afterwards, he tied the body.
As an electronics technician, you'd think you'd know about the jumpability of a human body with electricity running through it before you tested it.
That they cover in school?
Well, as someone who's gone to school with electronics technicians.
They do cover it in biology, though, in system mechanics, when you're learning about muscles and stuff. They get you to inject, like, little...
But he wasn't a biologist.
No. But they get you to inject little insect parts with sodium and then run electricity through them and make them jump in certain ways.
That's horrifying. Afterward, Brudos tied the body to a car transmission with a nylon cord and again threw it in the Williamette. So Brudos would also dress up in high heels and masturbate after committing a murder. In May 1969, a fisherman found the bodies of Sally and Sprinkler in the Long Tom River, which I guess feeds into the Williamette. The police asked students at a nearby university campus about suspicious men, and one led to Brudos, who had phoned her several times to ask her for a date. Brudos gave police a false address, which increased their suspicions, obviously. At his garage, the police found copper wire that was determined to have been cut with the same tool that cut his cords that he used to tie the bodies to all that random shit.
That's why you have separate cutters.
Well, apparently he didn't. Brudos was arrested, and he made a full confession. On June 28th, 1969, Brudos pled guilty to 3 first-degree murders, Sprinkler, Whitney, and Sally's, and was sentenced to 3 consecutive terms of life imprisonment in the Oregon State Penitentiary. Though he also confessed to Slosson's murder, Brudos was not tried nor convicted for it because he didn't make and keep photographs of the body, unlike in the other cases. He only took a picture of her foot, I guess. Whitney's body was found a month after Brudos' conviction, about a mile downstream from where he said he had thrown it. So while incarcerated, Brudos had piles of women's shoe catalogs in his cell. He wrote to major companies asking for them, and claimed they were his substitute for pornography. He lodged countless appeals, including one in which he alleged that a photograph taken of him with one of the victim's corpses could not prove his guilt, because it was not the body of a person he was convicted of killing.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. In 1995, the parole board told Brudos that he would never be released. Brudos ended up dying in prison on March 28, 2006 from liver cancer. At the time of his death, Brudos was the longest incarcerated inmate in the Oregon Department of Corrections, a total of 37 years from 1969 to 2006. The end.
Man, he seems like... Did he enjoy the killing, or did he just want... he wanted to allow them to play with him?
Well, I think he liked the killing part, but he also liked... he was a process and a product killer, I think. Some weird combo of the two. Because he liked the process of killing, because it was like he was killing his mom over and over again because she never accepted him, wanted a girl, lost her shit when he was playing with shoes, that kind of stuff. But then he also liked the shoes and the dead bodies because he was a necrophiliac.
I wonder what he got out of dressing them up and doing arts and crafts with them. Was that him trying to dominate the victim?
Totally a control move.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I mean, how do you not notice a tit in resin? I guess it's in his creepy secret garage.
It's in his creepy secret garage, and I think his wife was just so weirded out and scared of him because, like I said, he was a monster.
Yeah. I think she refused to talk about it to reporters and journalists for years and years afterwards.
Yeah.
And so would I. I wouldn't want...
I think the kids kept quiet too, because he had kids.
Yeah, who would want the last name Brudos? I wouldn't be surprised if they changed their names after that.
I think they did.
Yeah.
Which, fair enough.
Yeah, and his depiction in Mindhunter is actually pretty good.
He's so charming and like, I don't know. It was weird. I liked him.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's one of the messages of Mindhunter, of at least the first season, is that these people who are serial killers, they're charismatic and they're charming and they appear polite and presentable and accepting and friendly, but it's hard to forget like what they've done.
Cut off women's boobs.
Yeah.
Had sex with their corpses. Yuck.
Because he seemed like just a really helpful guy in Mindhunter, at least his depiction. And Mindhunter's very careful about how they depict things.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems very personable.
Yeah, which is horrifying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my episode. And sorry for the nightmares that you'll probably have about raping dead people. I don't know. I don't know your life.
Yeah. Again, look on our social media. I'll have all the pictures associated to this case up there. I'll try and keep it at least PG-13.
No, you fucking won't.
No, don't do that.
What do you mean?
You won't. You're going to put the graphic ones there. Just put them in the comment section.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not a PG-13 podcast.
I know, but the Facebook censors and all that.
Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments.
Nestle it.
Yeah, I can do that. I can nestle it. Yeah, so if you guys want to see the harsh reality of this crime, just look in the comments.
Yes. All right. So for Occultae Veritatis, I am Sage Murray.
I'm Leon Filger.
I'm Oud Gallifrey.
And guesting Immy.
All right, and you're going to be back with us for the next episode, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
We'll see you guys then. Have
Love
a good
you.
night.
Cheers.
Bye.
Beauty.
Woo!
Another one in the bag.
Yeah. I threw my papers on the floor.
So
haphazardly.
Actually, that episode recorded was episode number 20.
Yes!
20! Woo-hoo! You should.
Alrighty, we have a call-in from Leon Filger just telling us about his experience with our sponsor, Studio Headphones. For 15% off your first purchase, use OVPod at checkout.
Hey, it's Leon Filger calling in. I've been hanging on to these Studio Headphones for about a week and a half now. Been using them every day. And here's my review. I think they're fucking awesome. I'm not normally a fan of these like on-the-ear headphones that don't completely wrap around, but these ones are surprisingly comfortable. I've actually worn them to bed a few times, and I've fallen asleep wearing them, so it's nice. I like there's good tension in the band, so they hold on my ears nicely. I can shake my head back and forth, and they're not falling off. I like that they're definitely very European. Like I've got a set of Sonys that do the same thing as these. But don't look nearly as cool. These are sleek and they're sleek rather and sexy in black. I totally dig them. If you're not a Bluetooth person, if you prefer the cord, the one they supply is one of those really lightweight flat cords, so it's super comfy. Everything about these is pretty good. You can tell they're a European, I guess Scandinavian design. They don't look like your JVCs or your Sonys. They're a lot cooler than that. Really nice padded headphone or padded headband. I'm kind of high right now. And what I like most about them is how they're infinitely adjustable. When you go to adjust it, it doesn't do like click, click, click like other ones do. It's got some really decent tension on the adjustment area, which means it's really nice to slide if I've got a hat on, or if I've got some product in my hair, or if I'm wearing a hood, if I want to tilt it forward on my head, back on my head, lay down to sleep. They're super easy to adjust, and it's really easy to get them into a nice, comfortable position, and they're good for all-day wear. So these are my favorite headphones, and I would definitely say check them out. Go to the studio website. There'll be a link up on the show page, and use the code OVPOD to get 15% off these fucking awesome headphones. So definitely do it. That's my review. 10 out of 10.
And our palette cleanser for this episode is by the artist The Rope River Blues with their song The Vista's Missing Views. You gotta love a song that rhymes with its artist. Enjoy.
See you're coming back to you now, and all your beauty it is crowning kisses, they burn with something new. The dreamer put her mind in me. We were undefined but free, falling from a fever tree, shuffling upon the deck, running from our summer deaths, crushing in the discotheque at sea. Some magic nightly charges me with the blues, tucked away nicely in the evening's hues. That something sound, that vista's missing views are all around. It's really the only truth. The daring moment is a dance through sound, a moving motion merges us with crowds. The city lounges and the languid air, hearts conversations only we can share.
Alrighty, boys and girls, let's read some iTunes reviews as part of our after show, because we love 5-star iTunes reviews. You know, it gets more earballs on our content, so we always love that. From Sub Captain XJ, the hosts are hilarious and very entertaining. Listening makes me feel like I've been hanging out with a group of friends with great conversations. It's basically what you wish all your dinner parties were like, but never are. Yeah, I hope that your dinner parties aren't as horrifying as what we talk about, but I'm glad you're enjoying us, and I'm glad that you feel like you're hanging out with a group of friends. It's kind of the feel we're going for, you know, a group of friends in a circle just trading stories. From the All Crime No Cattle podcast, which is a fantastic Texas true crime podcast. You should listen to it. They talk about crimes from their neck of the woods, and it's excellent. This is a fun and entertaining podcast with broad enough subject matter to make anyone want to come back for more. Might have to send you guys some Texas beers to try out. From Aaron. Hell yeah. If you want to send some Texas beers, we'll pay for the shipping. We'd love to try some. I don't even know what Texas beers are. We're fairly unimpressed with most American beers that we've tried so far, but I think there could be some hidden gems out there that we'd really like. From Minutamen. Need some cool Canadians to hang out with? Who doesn't? Darken the room, get high, fire up the iPod, put on headphones, and drift off to a fun place. If Fargo and The Shining had a podcast kid, this is the show. I'm not nearly cultured enough to know what that comparison is, but I'm glad that you found a way to encapsulate us. So yeah, if you want a show that's like the Fargo and The Shining had a kid, apparently that's what Minutamen likes. from Hellaweed. And this is a very recent one on February 14th. A really good podcast for finding random, interesting topics. I honestly really like everyone on the show, but here's just some raw feedback. Comedy aspect can be a little contrived over the time, almost like a shock jock with you on a morning rodeo show. The hosts are witty and more funny than most people. Sometimes it's presented in a way over the top and seems forced and then discredits because of the controversy. Between friends, I don't know what you guys are going for, but I thought I'd offer that because I really like the show a lot. The content is great, and so are the stories and banter. The guy who seems to put out the stories has a really soothing accent. I don't know if he's talking about me. I'm glad my accent sounds soothing. When I was in the military, some of the people who were scared in the middle of the night wanted me to talk just to keep their nerves at ease. So, I don't know. I've always suspected that my voice is soothing, but I've never known for sure. As for the tone in our over-the-top comedy, we're trying to add some levity to the stories that we're adding. I understand that we need to strike that balance between interrupting the story too much and also adding levity. So we're still trying to find our balance there. But Halloween, I'm glad that you like it. I'm glad that you consider us a hidden dark gem. I'm glad that you think we're funny. At least somebody does. And thank you for your review. And hopefully, as we go on, we'll just keep on improving and we'll keep on striking that balance and finding the line between too much and too little interruption to add levity. Anyways, that's all I got for right now for the after show. Just a quick little reading of our iTunes reviews. If you would like your iTunes review to be read, just leave us a 5-star review. We read every one and we enjoy every one. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Just go to ovpod.ca. At the bottom of the front page, the links to all our social media. Also, join our Facebook group. There's lots of discussions happening there. If you want to argue about the cases we're covering, or if you want to just share some memes or goof around or just share stories, we're up for that. We're trying to form a little community of occultists, so feel free to go on there. And if you really like us and want to support us on Patreon, just go to www.patreon.com/ovpod. We would love to have you as Patreons, and we're getting some bonus content on the Black Archive, which is accessible through the Patreon feed right away. I've been Ood Gallifrey with the After Show. Thank you very much for taking part of your day to tune in. You know, the only finite resource that we have is time, and the fact that you guys spend some of your time with us is it's really nice. So, from Ood Gallifrey, you guys have a nice evening, a nice weekend. Don't let the bedbugs bite.